Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends. Are you ready to be Rumified? I don't know about all of that. But talking about being Rumified, I'm going to throw a massive ingredient towards us. Thank you, John. Here's the banquet. The banquet is about Shamsuddin, Shams of Tabriz. Rumi, actually more, Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi is by far the greatest poet and the most well-read poet in the East and the Western Hemisphere, as we know it today. Jalaluddin Rumi was born in September 15th, 1207, and he died December 30th, 1273. He was born in the town region called Balkh, which is modern-day Afghanistan, and it was the father's regions of the Persian Empire, and also the farthest portion where the Silk Route is situated today. When he was 8 years old, his father, Bahaluddin Walid, moved the entire family to Konya, Turkey, to get away from the Turkish hordes, or really the Mongol hordes of Genghis Khan. And actually, the Crusades were in full swing around that time, right in the middle of the Crusades. So they moved him to Konya, Turkey, where he spent most of his life in Konya, Turkey. He's buried in Konya, Turkey. Janice happened to see his grave. He's buried right above the ground. He's the only grave that we go to Konya, Turkey, that's been buried above the ground. His father, Balaluddin Walid, was a very renowned mystic and a Sufi in his own right. He had a college, Divinity of Theology, and he was a mystic, a scholar, and he wrote all his testaments of how you reach and delve into connecting with the divine in this book and testament and diary called the Marif. Upon his death, Jalaluddin Rumi inherited the college and all his teachings, the Marif. So Jalaluddin Rumi, Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi, Maulana, by the way, is the title for very renowned, like a renowned preacher, a teacher, cardinal of that time. Jalaluddin Rumi inherited all of this, and he came to his own position. He was a doctor of theology, and he gave us the most profound poems and prose that we have today. He allowed us and enabled us to get away from all of this. It's all an illusion, actually. Every bit of this is an illusion. And he allowed us to be directly connected with the divine, directly connected to the source. How did he do all of this? He was a mystic. He delved deep into himself. And here's what I want to preface. He was the student waiting on the teacher. The teacher was Shams of Tabriz. Who Shams? The word Shams in Arabic means sun, light. There's the sphere. Thank you, Janice. And so the way it's told, the way it's said, Jalaluddin Rumi was in Konya, going about his disciples and his preaching and his talking to his people in the square, and out of nowhere comes this vagabond, Shams, grabs his marif, grabs all his books, all his texts, and throws it into the fountain. Yeah. Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi is aghast. What? Here's the beginnings of the beginning. So Shams sees how devastated he is. He goes into his fountain, picks up all his books, and he gives them to Rumi, and they all bone dry. And there is. Rumi says, oh, there's the beginnings of the beginning. And he realizes this was who he was waiting for, Shams. And there was the beginning. And their relationship took off from there on. Jalaluddin Rumi was devoted to Shams. And Rumi had his own disciples, his own following, and they looked up to him like their God at that time. And then here comes Shams. They didn't know what to make of him. And Shams was this personality that did not like any attention whatsoever. As soon as he got some kind of accolades, people following him, he'd take off. He just didn't want any attention whatsoever. He was actually a modern day bum. And he hung around with camel drivers and laborers and people at that time considered the scum of the earth. But he had a direct connection to the divine. And he was Jalaluddin Rumi's teacher. So their life went on, and Rumi learned from him and sat in his presence. Shams was Jalaluddin Rumi's bodhisattva. Huh? Yeah, there it is. So this went on, and his disciples tolerated Shams, and it went on, and they wrote their best poetry. But every time his disciples would figure out this is not right, Shams would take off. He'd realize he's not wanted, not needed, and he'd take off. And this went on for a long time. Shams would send his, Jalaluddin Rumi would send his son, Sultan Walid, to get him. At one time, he found him in Damascus. Found Shams in Damascus. He was in some tavern playing cards and playing with this person who would become St. Francis of Assisi, playing with this vassal, and this guy was cheating. Francis of Assisi was cheating, and some noticed it, and Shams had his own following too, and he confronted Francis of Assisi, and Francis said, okay, I'll give you money back, I'll give it whatever. No, Shams said, this is the type of personality Shams said, no, you take it to your people in the West and distribute it to them. This is what was happening at that time. So this went on, and their relationship grew. They did a lot of darshans. Darshans is eye-gazing. Thanks to our teacher, our wisdom teacher here, our soul sister here, Jade. She did a massive research on darshans for her doctorate, and a thesis was on darshan. Darshans are basic eye-gazing. You sit in the presence of somebody, and then you look into the eyes, which are the direct portals of your soul, and you're connecting with the divine. That's what these two would do. Jalaluddin Rumi and Shams, he'd look into his teacher's eyes, and there was their beginnings, and there were their teachings. But this went on, and then one time he took off. Shams took off again, and this final time, Rumi sends his son to get him, and he comes back. They stay. He stays. Rumi stays in Shams. Shams stays in Rumi's house for 4 years, and their relationship grew. And finally, he took off. He was gone. He disappeared. And they say, possibly right, that Rumi's disciples killed him. That was the end of that. So now, when he's gone, Rumi does not know what to do with life. My teacher's been taken away from me, and what do I do now? And then he goes on. He's a wanderer. He's wandering. He's in the streets, totally devastated, despondent, doesn't know what to do with this abandonment, and it's just terrible for him. He doesn't even want to live anymore, actually. And right about this time, he realizes, and he's getting this transmission from Shams, and he realizes all in all is gone, but all his poetry that he's writing has been transmitted through Shams to him. And that's when he writes his best poetry. Through all his grief, through all his sorrow, through all that he's going through, it is said that he wrote, Jalaluddin Rumi, that he wrote his best poetry as we read him today. By the way, this poem that he read John read, it was Kevin read about the guest house. It's kind of one of my favorites, but that's okay. I've shifted gears and I've got another one to read. So that's what he's talking about, the guest house. And that is amazing a poem. So he wrote his best poetry right after the disappearance of Shams. And it's been said that he would have not written any of this poetry if it wasn't for Shams. He wrote 40,000 poems. And in all those 40,000 poems he wrote, he says, ode to Shams. This is how huge he felt about Shams. And not only that, the last 12 years of his life, he wrote between 25 and 30,000 more poems that he transmitted to his favorite disciple or student. And that is called Malwani. That's one of his real favorite poetries. But I want to read to us what Shams, what Rumi says about the genesis of poetry. Some say Rumi would not have gifted such an enormous literacy treasure to the world without Shams, given his teacher and his sacred longing to unite the hidden. That's one of his books that took place when Shams disappeared. And that is exactly the role of a master, to create an intense desire for union with the beloved. There it is, my friends. And when the union happens, it's very interesting here. When the union happens, an atomic mystical power is released that can be directed towards humanity. Okay, now this is what I really want to hone in on, what Rumi gave us. Rumi says to us in a poem, love is the cure, for your pain will keep giving birth to more pain until your eyes constantly exhale love as effortlessly as your body yields to its scent. Love is the essence of Rumi. That's what I want to hone in on. Love became his very being. Love is the impetus of all his poetry. Rumi sings fantastic promises that do not disappoint the sincere student. This is directly Rumi here. Stand with dignity in the magnificent current of my words, and they will carry you into God's arms. That is Rumi. So when Rumi went through his grief and he was writing his poetry, he was absolutely devastated. Didn't know what to make with life, couldn't understand it. And at about that time, he started blissfully whirling and going into dance. And this was at that time their way of transcending or levitating. When you get into this position, you dance and you dance and you dance and you dance and you're whirling. It's actually the right hand going up. No, one of these two. And then and the big hats that are made of camel fur, camel hair, and the cassocks made of wool. The word Sufi comes from the Arabic word means wool. So that's the thing. So basically, he was the forefather of the whirling dervishes. They were whirling before. They were doing this before they were led. Sufism, by the way, is what mysticism is to Christianity. They were a very elevated group of Muslims at that time, and still are today. And there have been a whole lot of branches of Sufism that came out of that. But he was the genesis and the beginnings of the whirling dervishes. There, that's what I'm going to say about Rumi. I'm going to read some of his poems, some of these poems that really resonate with me. And I hope you enjoy it. This is the one that is the picture. Thanks again. This is a book and the information to me given to me by our soul sister Jane. The title of this is The Doorway to Eternity Flickered Open. This is exactly what happened to him when he met Shams. And in one pure, outrageous act of fate, Rumi dove through an instant of mystical annihilation Fire met fire, ocean, ocean, and Rumi fell into pure being. Later he would say, what I once thought of as God, I met today as a human being. That is what Rumi did for us. This is another nice one I enjoy. It's called, We Have Opened You. Who lets a bucket down and brings up a flowing prophet? Or like Moses goes for fire and finds what burns inside the sunrise? Jesus slips into a house to escape enemies and opens a door to the outer world. Solomon opens a fish and there's a gold ring. Omar storms in to kill the prophet and leaves with blessings. Chase a deer and end up everywhere. An oyster opens his mouth to swallow one drop. Now there's a pearl. A vagrant wanders empty ruins. Suddenly he's wealthy. But don't be satisfied with poems and stories of how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth without complicated explanation so everyone will understand the passage. We have opened you. Start walking towards Shams. Always going Shams. Your legs will get heavy and tired. Then comes the moment of feeling the wings you've grown lifting. We'll do it a little bit differently this time. At the end of the stop and ask for comments. I will pause after each poem. If there's something you want to ask me, your interpretation, or whatever, you can say something. Now this is a nice one. I love this one too. Titled Human Being. Not Christian or Jew or Muslim, not Hindu, Buddhist, Sufi or Zen, not any religion or cultural system. I am not from the east or the west, not out of the ocean or up. From the ground, not natural or ethereal, not composed of elements at all. I do not exist. I'm not an entity in this world or the next. Did not descend from Adam or Eve or any origin story. My place is placeless. A trace of the traceless, neither body or soul. I belong to the beloved, have seen the two worlds as one, and that one called to and know. First, last, outer, inner, only the breath-breathing human being. This one, in my humble opinion, is, I think, he's talking about what happens to them when they're whirling. Picture. I urge you to come and look at these illustrations illuminations done by Michael Green. They're amazing. Okay. You are the taste in every lip, the intention of every religion you swing. To the ground and put your shapes in the air. Half crazy is not nearly enough for you. The sacred letter Alif. Alif is the beginning of the letters, like A, Alif. Turns into a circle, the rim of a wine glass. That madness arises out of love and weeping. We must not be afraid of anyone. We must not be afraid what anyone might say. Be the source, not result.
Not the what?
Result. Be the source, not the result. Journey, not the destination. This is one of my favorites. Guess which one this is? The Human Guest House.
What?
The Human Guest House. That's the one we read. But I'll shift, move. Next one. Oh, this is another nice favorite. This one, I believe, is Rumi reaching out to Shams. What have you done? Why have you left me? Why have you abandoned me? Student talk to the master, to the teacher. Here's how it goes. There's a picture of it. The illustrations are magnanimous, actually. So yesterday at dawn, my friend said, how long will this unconsciousness go on? You fill yourself with the sharp pain of love. Rather than its fulfillment, I said, but I can't get to you. You are the whole dark night. I am a single candle. My life is upside down because of you. The friend replied, I am your deepest being. Quit talking about wanting me. I said, then what is this restlessness? The friend, does a drop stay still in the ocean? Move with the entirety and with the tiniest particle. Be the moisture in an oyster that helps to form one pearl. Yep. I'm sorry.
I'm going to remember being the moisture in the oyster. That's it. Sorry.
Right, man. No, I hear you. One more. This one is kind of intense, but I like it. Very. That lives in us. If you put your hands on this oar with me, they will never harm another. And they will come to find they hold everything you want.
Read it again, please.
Read it again? Certainly. That lives in us is the title. You get it, Jim? If you put your hands on this oar with me, they will never harm another. And they will come to find they hold everything you want. If you put your hands on this oar with me, they would no longer lift anything to your mouth that might round your precious land, that sacred earth that is your body. If you put your soul against this oar with me, the power that made the universe will enter your sinew. Sinew. Sinew, thing that holds you. Sinew. Sinew? Sinew is it? That sinew is in Yiddish. In Hindustani, is sinew. Sorry, I just made that up. Sinew. From a source not outside your limbs, but from the holy realm that lives in us. Exuberant is existence, time is husk. When the moment cracks open, ecstasy leaps out and devours space. Love goes mad with the blessings like my words give. Why lay yourself on the torturous rack of the past and future? The mind that rises to shape tomorrow, beyond its capacities, will find no rest. Be kind to yourself, dear, to our innocent follies. Forget any sounds or touch you knew that did not help you dance. You will come to see that all evolves us. Us. We all evolve. It's all an illusion. You get right back into it. That's what I get out of it. I like your interpretation of it, Jim. So now here, this one's a real intense one. Now here's this one. He had a sense of humor too. Listen to this one. Oh, any comments on that one? You want to say anything about the last one? Shoot at me later. I like this one. This one's for you, Jayla. Relationship booster. Here is a relationship booster that is guaranteed to work. Every time your spouse or lover says something stupid, make your eyes light up as you just heard something brilliant. Right on, Rumi. Yeah, he had a sense. He was a good man. Now, this one's pretty intense too, but I like it. Not as intense as the last one. On a day when the wind is perfect, on a day when the wind is perfect, that's the title of the poem. On the day when the wind is perfect. On a day when the wind is perfect, the sail just needs to open and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. Right on. My eyes are like the sun that makes promises, the promises of life that it always keeps each morning. The living heart gives to us as the living heart gives to us as does that luminous sphere. Both caress the earth with great tenderness. There is a breeze that can enter the soul. This love I know plays a drum. I know what you mean. Arms move around me. Who can contain this self before my beauty? Peace is wonderful, but ecstatic dance is more fun and less narcissistic. Gregarious, he makes our lips. And I have one more. And this is Janice's favorite. It's titled, I Am. I am dust particles in sunlight. I am the round sun. To the bits of dust I say, stay. To the sun I say, keep moving. I am morning mist, the breathing of evening. I am wind at the top of a grove and surf on the cliff. Mast, rudder, helmsman, and keel. I am also the coral reef they founder on. I am a tree with a trained parrot in its branches. Silence, thought, and voice. The musical air coming through a flute, a spark of a stone, a flickering in metal. Both candle and moth crazy around it. Rose and nightingale lost in the fragrance. I am all orders of being, the circling galaxy. The evolutionary intelligence, the lift and the falling away. What is and what isn't? You who know Jalaluddin, you, the only one in all, say who I am. Looking at you, Roy. Khuda Hafiz.